top 5 more roguish decks of the format. You know, they're not within the top 10, but you can pick these up and you can have a good time with them, or, you know, just devastate your opponent. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more Isles content. Number 1 on our list here is going to be Marincess. Whoo-wee! Let me tell you about Marincess, Duelist. So many people still have not read Aqua Argonaut, Battle Ocean. So many players just get surprise Pikachu faced out here when this deck comes down. If you're somebody out here that's playing on a local level, you will probably devastate a lot of your opponents because Yu-Gi-Oh players just don't know how to cognitively read. I know, right? Very strange thing. One of the biggest themes in terms of decks, you know, having success is surprise factor. And I still think to this day, Marincess has one of the biggest you know, surprise, you know, interactions in the game because, once again, Aqua Argonaut, you know, people don't know where the choke points are. And now if you play against, you know, some more seasoned veterans that kind of have an idea of where the choke points are with this water deck, yeah, you're going to have a bad time. Like, that's just kind of how it is, you know. 95% of the player base looks at this deck right now and goes, yeah, just go after the Battle Ocean. And I can agree with that. You know, Battle Ocean ends up being one of their key centralized points. You know, there are some points, you know, where they don't really care about having the field spell. I get that. All right, but when the entire deck goes, oh, I need to be able to attach, you know, through the field spell interaction, you know, you look at everything, you're like, oh, you know, like, this feels really powerful for an interaction. Well, it's going to be just that. So if you're going into this matchup, some of the best advice that I can give you, kind of look at how the opponent's opening up. Kind of, sometimes you'll want to take risk and you'll be like, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is the proper cutoff point right now. And, you know, if they open up, you know, the mill 3 and they get to the extender, well, you're probably going to have a bad time. So that's just kind of honestly my Marincess experience. You know, like, it's an interesting matchup, I'll tell you that. Next up is Exosister. How the mightier have fallen. Holy crap, man. So many players, Robbie. We're going to be in a triangle format. Let me tell you what. All right, Exosister performed in the OCG. Like, all right, cool. I hope so. It'd be nice to, you know, have an Evil Swarm deck come back. Well, here's what happened. What's an Exosister card? I mean, Exosister can win a locals. I mean, that's fine. You know, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh decks can perform on a local level. I think it's like one of the most interesting aspects of the game when you look at it is obviously between like the local, the regional level, and the YCS level. Right now, Exo is a very good locals deck. I think you can do well on a regional level. We've already seen it perform at a regional and take a W, all right? Like, it happened. But my problem here is you need to have a wide range of graveyard reliant decks to really get the best out of Exosister. And I've made this point before, you know, when you have as much random crap as the TCG has in its lower, like, roguish circle, where, you know, you have decks like, I don't know, Marincess, you know, Labyrinth, Eldritch, Runic, you know, these decks that the OCG might not be playing because, you know, Max C, but something like Exosister right here that thrives on a Max, you know, graveyard interactions to, you know, pinch the opponent even more into those bad situations. You don't really have that here as much. Now, when Ishizu tier elements come, you know, we'll have to wait and see really if that deck ends up, you know, being the stepping stone here for Exosister kind of step over the rest of the meta. And I mean, it very well could. We've seen things like this happen in the past, or in, you know, the past. Hopefully this deck will get the chance to shine though, because it has been bullied so hard that it's actually kind of crazy. All right, I wanted that deck to be so good. Next up is Drytron. So Drytron is almost top 10 worthy. You can interchange it in Swordsel, honestly. Like, Drytron right now is a very unique deck because, like Dragon Link, the right Drytron player will have success. There's no doubt in my mind about that, all right? Your problem here still lies at the end of the day that you're still Drytron. You know, you still gotta pack in, honestly, how many board breakers. I think it's the reason why, like, I've seen this deck doing good is because, like, the sheer volume of board breakers that this deck can amass just catches so many people off guard. Like, between the Dark Rulers, you know, droplets, I think there was a build that was playing Ultimate Slayers too. Like, if you're really going to roll 9 of those in your main deck, congratulations. You're probably going to open up multiples of them, and you shouldn't have an issue. You just got to have enough gas to break through whatever board they're establishing, because it's what you need. Board breakers allow you to break those boards, but if you don't have enough gas to capitalize and build a field, you're going to have an issue there. So it's kind of the thing I look at, like, with Drytron right now is you get away with playing so many board breakers, you got to have a way to clear off those fields. And if you can do that, once again, ladies and gentlemen, you will have a good matchup, all right? Like, that's the thing, all right? If you can meet the conditions, get the consistent results that you need going, easy peasy. All right, you can say that about any deck, but I think in particular with Drytron, because of its unique resource pool and feeding off of the graveyard, and just the interactions that the deck has within that graveyard sphere of things, makes it a relatively easier choice to play. All right, it's just, can you afford all the board breakers? Yes or no? All right, so you kind of pick your poison in that regard, but I definitely do think it's one of the more unique, interesting decks. Next up is Labyrinth. You're like, wait, you've set me up for 6 minutes into this video just to put Labyrinth on this list? Yes, I did. Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. So here's where I am with this. I don't have infinite playtesting on this deck. No. It's another control deck. That's the reason why I'm putting it on here. Is the deck better than Eldritch? No. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Everything that Eldritch just does everything kind of better. You know, the thing with Labyrinth that kind of hinders it is you have to kind of you have monsters in your theme. You know, at least with Eldritch, it's just set 5 with the Golden Boy. You know, with this theme, you have maids, you have your stove, and I think you have the Chandelier. I think the Chandelier, I know you play both Stovey and the Chandelier, but you're still a trap-based deck. You still got to be maxing out on these trap cards. Now, Labyrinth Mommy is going to be the central piece of the deck, much like the Golden Lord, but Labyrinth Mommy actually does additional effects. The other downside to this deck is, you know, can't really play Skill Drain. I mean, you can, but I feel like you're just going to hinder yourself. Giving the additional skills off of your Labyrinth trap cards is also pretty good. I think it's the thing that makes the deck sometimes better than Eldritch, is you get a lot more interaction out of your trap cards. You know, when you can get to these heavier choke point cards, these more blowouty feels of cards against the opponent, it's kind of what you get. Eldritch, I feel like, more consistent floodgate. Labyrinth is more of an explosion and more of a ha-ha-ha, you know, like from anime. You know, where you always have, what is it, the one chick always shows up and goes, ha-ha-ha-ha. You know, that's kind of what it feels like to play Labyrinth, in my personal opinion. So it really is the more anime experience, per se. Torrential Tribute in the deck is pretty good, though. And welcome to the Labyrinth. Next up is going to be the Egyptian God Sauce. Now, the reason why I'm putting this here is I saw some tier builds that were starting to play the Slifer trap card. And now hear me out for a second. Curious, you know, dropping the trap card or dropping a Slifer, and then, you know, Nightmare Griffining back the Slifer trap card for a draw 6 was some of the most disgusting Yu-Gi-Oh! That I've seen in a very long time. Now, is this going to be consistent and good? I mean, it depends on what other Egyptian God Sauce there is. You know, like there's a Numeron Winged Dragon Raw deck that was showing up in Japan. You have all sorts of cool little interaction points with the Egyptian God stuff, because every time, you know, they make a new Egyptian God card, you know, support card, the deck or the decks get a little bit better. All right, we're finally starting. Yu-Gi-Oh's at the point that, like, an indestructible God card hitting the field is kind of scary. You know, like we're finally, I feel like we're finally at the point that the gods can kind of do what they needed to do at this point. So good on Konami for making these support cards for the gods and powering them up. I do think that there is a particular sauce out there that you might be able to find and have some fun with. But I will tell you that the tier Slifer deck is hilarious to watch work. So if you're somebody out here, it's like, oh, I've been wanting to play something Egyptian God related, like Robbie, you're crazy. I love the concept behind this. You just gotta try things, man. You know, that's what Yu-Gi-Oh's about. It's about trying things and seeing what works. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.